The morning shift bell echoed through the corridors of New Horizon Mining Station. Floating peacefully in the asteroid belt of the Kepler 442 system, Captain Marcus Chen stood on the observation deck, watching the sunrise paint the nearby asteroids in brilliant gold and orange hues. Below him, the mining platforms hummed with activity as humans worked alongside their alien partners. It had been 3 years since the Galactic Mining Consortium established New Horizon as a model of interspecies cooperation. Humans provided the engineering, expertise, and determination, while various alien species contributed their unique abilities. The Xerians, with their insectoid precision, handled delicate extraction work. The blue-skinned Astari served as mediators, and philosophers, keeping peace among the different species. Even some former warriors had joined the peaceful endeavor. Dr. Sarah Mitchell approached the captain, her tablet displaying the latest geological reports. Her auburn hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and her green eyes sparkled with excitement. "Marcus, you need to see this. The deep core samples from Sector 7 are showing something extraordinary." Marcus turned from the viewport, noting the barely contained enthusiasm in his chief xenobiologist's voice. Sarah had spent years studying alien cultures and had become the station's unofficial diplomat. If something had her this excited, it was worth attention. "What kind of extraordinary?" he asked, accepting the tablet. The data showed crystalline structures, unlike anything in their databases. The formations pulsed with a faint inner light, and the energy readings were off the charts. "These aren't just rare minerals, Marcus. These crystals could revolutionize space travel. The energy density is incredible, and the quantum resonance patterns suggest they could power jump drives far beyond current technology." Marcus whistled low. "How many species know about this discovery?" "Just us, for now. But word travels fast in mining operations." Sarah's expression grew serious. "We need to contact the Galactic Council before someone else does." Their conversation was interrupted by the station's communication officer, Lieutenant Torres. "Captain, we're receiving an unscheduled transmission from a Grim Consortium battleship. They're requesting immediate docking permission." Marcus and Sarah exchanged glances. The Grim Consortium was known throughout the galaxy as a collection of warrior races who solved problems with overwhelming force. They rarely traveled to peaceful mining operations without reason. "Put them through," Marcus ordered. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a reptilian face with scarred features and predatory yellow eyes. Vorthok, Supreme War Leader of the Grim Consortium, was legendary for his ruthlessness. His scales were dark green with battle scars crisscrossing his snout, and ceremonial war paint marked his achievements in conquest. "Human," Vorthok's voice was a low growl. "I am Vorthok of the Grim Consortium. We come to claim what belongs to the strong." Marcus kept his expression neutral. "War Leader Vorthok, New Horizon is a peaceful mining operation under Galactic Council protection. What brings the Consortium to our little corner of space?" Vorthok's lips curled back, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "Do not pretend ignorance. Human, our scouts detected quantum resonance signatures from your pathetic station. You have discovered something valuable, and the Consortium claims it by right of strength." Sarah stepped forward, her diplomatic training taking over. "Wally, any discoveries made here are subject to galactic mining regulations. All species in the Consortium have representatives on the Council. This can be negotiated through proper channels." The alien warrior laughed, a harsh sound like grinding stone. "Negotiations are for the weak. I give you humans one choice. Surrender the quantum crystals and your mining data, or we will take them from your corpses. Marcus felt the familiar cold settling in his chest, the same feeling he'd experienced during his military service before joining the civilian mining corps. And if we refuse, then you die, all of you. Vorthok's eyes gleamed with anticipation. You have 48 hours to evacuate non-essential personnel and prepare the transfer. Resist, and I will turn your station into space debris. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Within hours, word of the ultimatum spread throughout New Horizon. The station's diverse population reacted in different ways. The Xerians began calculating odds and preparing contingency plans with their usual methodical precision. The Astari meditated and consulted their ancient wisdom texts. The handful of other species made preparations to evacuate, but the humans began to change. It started subtly. Mining supervisors began conducting equipment inventories with unusual thoroughness. Engineers started routine maintenance on systems that hadn't been serviced in months. Off-duty personnel volunteered for extra shifts, and conversations grew quieter, more focused. Elder Zephys, the oldest and most respected Astari on the station, sought out Captain Chen in his quarters. The ancient being's blue skin seemed to glow with inner wisdom, and his large, kind eyes held depths of knowledge accumulated over centuries. Captain Chen, Zephys, spoke in his melodious voice. I must share something with you. In my 300 years of life, I have observed many species. I have seen the rise and fall of empires, witnessed wars that consumed entire sectors, and watched as civilizations chose between wisdom and destruction. Marcus poured tea for both of them, a habit he'd developed during their many philosophical discussions. What are you trying to tell me, Elder? The Grim Consortium believes they understand humans. They see your peaceful nature here on New Horizon and mistake it for weakness. They have studied your species' official records, your diplomatic relations, your commitment to cooperation. Zephys paused, his ancient eyes growing distant. But they have not truly studied your history, our history. Captain, I was alive when humans first ventured into space. I witnessed your species' early encounters with galactic civilization. Do you know what most impressed me about humans? Marcus shook his head. It was not your technology, though it was innovative. It was not your physical abilities, though they are remarkable. It was your capacity for transformation. Zephys leaned forward. Most species are consistent. We, Astari, are always peaceful. The Xerians are always logical. The Grim are always aggressive. But humans become what they need to become. The old alien stood and moved to Marcus's viewport, gazing out at the stars. I have seen humans create beautiful art that moved me to tears. And I have seen humans wage war with a precision and fury that terrified the galaxy. The same species that builds hospitals also builds weapons that make other races tremble. Elder, are you saying we should fight? Zephys smiled sadly. I am saying that Vorthok has made a grave error. He believes he is threatening a mining station full of soft civilians. But you are not just miners, are you, Captain? Before you came here, what were you? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I was a military engineer, served in the Outer Rim conflicts, and Dr. Mitchell, naval intelligence, specialized in alien behavioral analysis and psychological warfare, and Lieutenant Torres, marine communications specialist, saw action in 6 different systems. Zephys nodded slowly. And how many of your civilian miners have similar backgrounds? Marcus began to understand the Galactic Council's policy of hiring former military personnel for mining operations was supposed to provide discipline and leadership in dangerous environments. But it also meant that New Horizon was staffed with veterans who had simply chosen peace over war. About 60% of our human population, Marcus admitted. Then Vorthok has not threatened a mining station, Zephy said softly. He has threatened a military base disguised as a peaceful operation, staffed with warriors who chose to mine asteroids instead of making war. And now he has given them a reason to remember who they used to be. The elder moved toward the door, then paused. Captain, I have one request. When this is over, please remember that some of us never wanted this fight. The Xerians, the other peaceful species here, they are innocent. Of course, Elder, we protect our own. I know you will. That is what makes humans so dangerous. You do not fight for conquest or glory. You fight for each other. Zephy's voice grew heavy with an old sorrow. Gods help anyone who threatens your people. As the first day passed, the grim consortium fleet took position around New Horizon. 12 heavy battleships arranged themselves in a blockade formation, their weapons trained on the station. Vorthok's flagship, the Bloodhammer, positioned itself directly in front of the main docking bay. Dr. Mitchell spent the day in meetings with the alien residents, coordinating evacuations for those who wished to leave. Many of the Xerians chose to stay, their logical minds calculating that cooperation with humans offered better survival odds than abandoning the station. Most Astari also remained, citing philosophical obligations to witness the outcome, but it was what the humans were doing that caught Elder Zephyr's attention. The mining equipment was being serviced with suspicious modifications. Excavation charges were being relocated to more secure storage areas. The station's defensive shields, originally designed to protect against asteroid impacts, were being upgraded by engineers who seemed to know far more about military applications than their civilian jobs suggested. Captain Chen called a general assembly that evening. The station's main auditorium filled with representatives from every species, but the atmosphere was dominated by the quiet intensity radiating from the human personnel. Friends, Marcus began, his voice carrying easily through the large space. We face a choice. The grim consortium demands that we surrender our discovery and abandon our home. They threaten violence against anyone who resists. Murmurs rippled through the assembled aliens, but the humans remained silent, focused. Some of you may choose to leave, and that's perfectly acceptable. New Horizon has been a place of peace, and no one signed up for war. Marcus paused, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. But for those who stay, I want you to understand something. We will not surrender, we will not abandon our home, and we will not allow anyone to harm our people. A Xerian delegate Crystal raised a clawed hand. Captain Chen, the Grim Consortium has 12 battleships. We have mining equipment and a small security force. The logical analysis suggests resistance is futile. Dr. Mitchell stood from her seat. Crystal, you're thinking like a civilian. So is Vorthok. But civilian humans and military humans are very different creatures. What do you mean? Crystal asked. Sarah's green eyes had gone cold, and those who knew her well recognized the transformation. The gentle xenobiologist was disappearing, replaced by the naval intelligence officer she used to be. I mean that Vorthok made a mistake. He researched human civilian behavior, human diplomatic protocols, human mining operations, but he didn't research human military doctrine. She smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. He doesn't understand what happens when you back humans into a corner and threaten their families. Lieutenant Torres stood up from the back of the auditorium. Captain, the boys have been talking. Every human on this station has friends here. Alien friends we've worked beside for years. The Grimm want to hurt our people. His voice carried the flat tone of a professional soldier. That's not acceptable. One by one, other humans began standing. Engineers, miners, technicians, administrators. Each face showed the same transformation Sarah had undergone. The peaceful civilians were gone, replaced by something harder, colder, and infinitely more dangerous. Elder Zephes watched with fascination and growing dread. He had seen this transformation before, centuries ago, when humans were still new to the galaxy. It was like watching sleeping predators wake up. Captain Chen nodded slowly. Then we're agreed. We make our stand here. The assembly dispersed, but the real work was just beginning. Throughout the night, New Horizon underwent a metamorphosis. Mining lasers were recalibrated for different targets. Excavation charges were repurposed into improvised weapons. The station's layout, originally designed for efficient mining operations, was analyzed with fresh eyes that saw choke points, kill zones, and defensive positions. Dr. Mitchell worked through the night, not on evacuation plans, but on psychological profiles of Grimm Consortium leadership. Her years of intelligence work had taught her that understanding an enemy's mind was often more valuable than understanding their weapons. As the second day dawned, Vorthok sent another transmission. Humans, his voice boomed through the stations. Speakers, your time grows short. Evacuate now, and you will be allowed to leave with your lives. Continue this foolish resistance, and I will demonstrate why the galaxy fears the Grimm Consortium. Captain Chen's response was broadcast on all frequencies, ensuring every ship in the system could hear it. War Leader Vorthok, this is Captain Marcus Chen of New Horizon Station. We reject your ultimatum. This station is our home, these people are our family, and we will defend both with everything we have. His voice remained calm, professional, but there was something underneath it that made Elder Zephes shiver. You have threatened innocent beings under our protection. You have demanded we abandon our home. You have promised violence against our people. The transmission paused, and when Marcus continued, his voice carried a weight that seemed to press against the listening aliens. War Leader, you have made a mistake. You see miners and scientists, civilians and diplomats, but we are humans, and you have just given us a reason to remember what that means. The channel closed. 3 hours later, Vorthok's patience ran out. The first Grimm attack ships launched from the Bloodhammer, heading for New Horizon's outer mining platforms. The War Leader intended to demonstrate his power by destroying some non-essential infrastructure and killing a few workers as an example. The attack ships never made it back. The first ship simply vanished in a brilliant flash as it approached mining Platform 7. The second managed to fire a few shots before its entire electronic suite failed, leaving it drifting helplessly until it collided with an asteroid. The third ship's crew began screaming over the radio about ghosts in the tunnels, before their transmission cut off abruptly. Aboard the Bloodhammer, Vorthok stared at his tactical display in confusion. What happened to my ships? His tactical officer, a scarred veteran of a dozen campaigns, studied the readings with growing unease. War Leader, the first ship hit some kind of mine. But these are mining platforms. They shouldn't have military-grade explosives. And the second ship, unknown weapon signature. Whatever hit it was designed to disable electronics without destroying. The hull, very sophisticated. And the third, the tactical officer hesitated. Sir, the third ship is ... gone. We're picking up debris, but no energy signatures from weapons fire. It's as if something tore it apart from the inside. Yellow eyes narrowed. Impossible. Humans are miners, not warriors. But deep in New Horizons mining tunnels, Dr. Sarah Mitchell smiled coldly as she watched the tactical display. The grim consortium was about to learn the difference between human civilians and human soldiers, and in the depths of space, Elder Zephyrs whispered an ancient Astari prayer for the souls who had awakened sleeping devils. Asterisk, the reckoning, the loss of 3 attack ships should have been a warning, but Vorthak's pride would not allow him to acknowledge that mere humans could threaten the mighty grim consortium. Instead, he ordered a full assault on New Horizons Station. All ships, attack formation Bloodclaw, Vorthok commanded from his flagship's bridge. Show these humans what happens when prey tries to bite back. What followed was not the swift victory the war leader expected. The grim battleships moved in perfect formation, their massive hulls bristling with weapons designed to crack planetary defenses. But as they approached New Horizon, the station seemed to shimmer and fade, replaced by a field of asteroids that hadn't been there moments before. Holographic camouflage, the tactical officer reported. The station is using the mining platforms to project false images. Find the real target, Vorthok snarled. But before his sensors could penetrate the deception, the asteroids began to explode. Not random explosions, but carefully coordinated detonations that sent chunks of rock flying in precise trajectories. The grim ships, accustomed to fighting in open space, found themselves surrounded by a deadly hail of high-velocity debris. The first battleship to fall was the Bone Crusher. A piece of asteroid the size of a shuttle punched through its forward shields and tore into the bridge. The second ship, Iron Fang, lost its main engines when a precisely timed explosion sent a mining laser beam slicing through its propulsion systems. How are they doing this? Vorthok demanded. Humans don't have this kind of tactical knowledge. His communications officer looked up from her console, her reptilian features pale with fear. War leader, I'm intercepting human tactical communications. The coordination patterns, they're military grade. These aren't miners, sir. These are soldiers. In New Horizons Command Center, Captain Marcus Chen watched the battle unfold with the cold efficiency of a military professional. Around him, his civilian staff had transformed into a functioning military unit. Former Marines coordinated defensive positions. Ex-Navy officers managed fire control, and intelligence specialists analyzed enemy movements. Sarah, what's our psychological assessment of their commander? Marcus asked. Dr. Mitchell looked up. From her analysis display, Vorthok is a traditional grim war leader. He's never faced an enemy that fights with deception and misdirection. His entire tactical doctrine is based on overwhelming force applied directly. He literally doesn't know how to respond to guerrilla warfare. Good, Torres. Signal mining, Platform 3. Tell them to begin Operation Rabbit Hole. Lieutenant Torres grinned, the expression transforming his face from that of a communications officer to that of a creditor. With pleasure, Captain, throughout the mining platforms in Asteroid Belt, humans began implementing tactics that would have impressed military strategists throughout the galaxy. The mining tunnels, originally designed for ore extraction, became a three-dimensional maze of death. Grim boarding parties entered the tunnels to find themselves lost in a labyrinth, where the humans seemed to appear and disappear like ghosts. Elder Zephy's watched from the station's observation deck as grim assault shuttles disappeared into the mining platforms, only to be ejected moments later as lifeless hulks. When he tried to understand what was happening, the humans' alien allies provided the answer. Crystal, the Zarian delegate, had remained at his post monitoring the mining operations. His insectoid precision allowed him to track the humans' movements. With mechanical accuracy, Elder Zephy's Crystal reported, the humans have weaponized the entire mining operation. They are using excavation charges as improvised explosives, mining lasers as directed energy weapons, and the tunnel systems as tactical advantages. But more than that, they have turned the Grim Consortium's own psychology against them. What do you mean? Grim warriors are bred for direct confrontation. They expect enemies to meet them in honorable combat. Instead, the humans attack from shadows, use misdirection, and exploit every weakness in grim tactical doctrine. It is ... remarkably efficient. Another grim shuttle exploded as it tried to approach mining platform 5. This time, the humans' method was visible. A mining laser had been modified to fire in rapid pulses, turning it into a devastating anti-ship weapon that could slice through armor like paper. Aboard the Bloodhammer, Vorthok was learning a hard lesson about underestimating humans. His fleet of 12 battleships had been reduced to 8 operational vessels, and those were struggling against enemies they couldn't see or predict. War Leader, his tactical officer, reported, "We're receiving a transmission from the human station. It's directed at you personally. Put it through." Dr. Sarah Mitchell's face appeared on the screen, but the gentle xenobiologist was gone. The woman looking at Vorthok had the cold, analytical stare of a predator studying its prey. "War Leader Vorthok," she said, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. "I am Dr. Sarah Mitchell, formerly Commander Mitchell, of Terran Naval Intelligence. I have a message for you." Vorthok leaned forward, his scarred features twisted with rage. "You dare, you will listen," Sarah interrupted, and something in her tone made the reptilian warrior fall silent. "You came here believing you understood humans. You researched our civilian operations, our diplomatic protocols, our peaceful mining communities, but you made a critical error in your intelligence gathering." The display behind Sarah shifted to show detailed files on New Horizons personnel, military service records, combat decorations, classified mission reports. 63% of New Horizons' human population are military veterans, not retired soldiers living peaceful lives. War Leader, combat veterans who chose to mine asteroids instead of making war, engineers who designed the weapons that won the Outer Rim conflicts, intelligence officers who ended rebellions without firing a shot, Marines who held impossible positions against overwhelming odds. Vorthok's yellow eyes widened as he realized the magnitude of his mistake. "You didn't attack a mining station, War Leader. You attacked a military base full of warriors who had chosen peace over war, and then you threatened their families." The transmission shifted to show the interior of New Horizon, where human and alien families worked together, ate together, lived together in harmony. "These aliens aren't just our co-workers, Vorthok. They're our friends, our neighbors, our chosen family, the Zirians who helped us solve engineering problems, the Astari who taught our children wisdom and patience, the dozen other species who made this station home." Sarah's green eyes seemed to burn with cold fire. "You threatened to kill our family, War Leader. That was your second mistake." "What was my first?" Vorthok asked, though he dreaded the answer. Sarah smiled, and it was the most terrifying expression Vorthok had ever seen. You assumed we had forgotten how to be soldiers. The transmission ended, and immediately, New Horizons' true nature revealed itself. The mining platforms dropped their holographic camouflage, revealing weapon systems that would have impressed a military engineer. The humans had turned excavation equipment into artillery, mining lasers into ship killers, and the entire asteroid field into a three-dimensional fortress. But more than the weapons, it was the coordination that shocked the Grim Warriors. The humans moved with the precision of a military unit that had trained together for years. Every action was calculated, every strike was purposeful, and every tactic was designed to exploit the Grim Consortium's weaknesses. War Leader, the tactical officer reported, his voice shaking, "They're not just defending anymore, they're hunting us." It was true. Human strike teams had somehow infiltrated the Grim ships, moving through the fleet like ghosts. The warriors who had terrorized a dozen star systems found themselves outmaneuvered, outfought and outhought by enemies they had dismissed as harmless miners. The Grim ship Skullbreaker suddenly went dark, its crew somehow incapacitated without any obvious attack. The Death's Head began broadcasting surrender signals in a dozen languages. One by one, Vorthok's proud fleet was being neutralized by humans who fought like nothing he had ever encountered. "How?" Vorthok whispered. "How are they doing this?" His communications officer provided the answer. "Sir, I've been monitoring their tactical frequencies. They're not just using military tactics. They're using each individual's specialized knowledge. The mining engineers know exactly where to hit our ships to disable them. The xenobiologists understand our psychology better than we do. The former intelligence officers are predicting our moves before we make them." Vorthok realized with growing horror that he wasn't fighting miners pretending to be soldiers. He was fighting soldiers who had become miners, and they were using both skill sets simultaneously. The final blow came when his own flagship began to shake. Human infiltrators had somehow boarded the Bloodhammer and were systematically disabling critical systems. Not destroying them, which would have killed everyone aboard, but disabling them with surgical precision. War Leader, a new voice, spoke over the communication system. It was Captain Chen, but he was no longer speaking from New Horizon. The humans' voice was coming from inside the Bloodhammer. "How?" Vorthok began. "Mining tunnels. War Leader. We've been digging through asteroids for 3 years. Did you really think we couldn't tunnel through a few ship holes?" Marcus Chen stepped onto the bridge, flanked by 2 humans in mining suits that had been modified with military equipment. Vorthok reached for his weapon, but found his hands frozen. Dr. Mitchell emerged from behind a control console, holding a small device that projected some kind of neural field. "Paralytic nerve disruptor," she explained conversationally, "based on Xerion biotechnology, modified with human engineering principles. You'll be able to speak and breathe, but not much else." Marcus surveyed the bridge with professional interest. "Impressive ship, War Leader. Poor tactical deployment, though. You positioned your flagship where it could be easily isolated and boarded you. You cannot do this," Vorthok managed to say. "The Galactic Council. There are laws, double quotes, about what?" Sarah asked. "About defending our home. About protecting our people. About responding to unprovoked attacks." She consulted her tablet. "According to Galactic Council regulations, we have every right to defend ourselves against unlawful aggression." Marcus nodded. "Your ships fired first, War Leader. You threatened civilians. by galactic law, were authorized to use any means necessary to protect innocent lives. Vorthak's tactical officer, still able to move, slowly raised his hands in surrender. We yield. The grim consortium yields to the humans of New Horizon. But it was Elder Zephyr's voice that spoke next, transmitted from the station's communication array. War Leader Vorthok, this is Elder Zephyr's of the Astari. I tried to warn you, but you would not listen. Warn me of what? Vorthok gasped. That humans are not like other species. When most races are threatened, they respond according to their nature. Warriors fight, diplomats negotiate, scholars analyze. But humans, ... humans become whatever they need to become. The Elder's ancient voice carried the weight of centuries. You saw peaceful miners and assumed they were weak. But they were not weak, War Leader. They were choosing to be peaceful. There is a vast difference between cannot fight and will not fight. Marcus stepped closer to Vorthok, and the reptilian warrior saw something in the human's eyes that made him understand the magnitude of his error. We didn't want this fight, War Leader. We came here to mine asteroids, to build homes, to live in peace with our alien friends. But you forced us to remember who we used to be. Marcus's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath it. You made us become soldiers again. Sarah checked her tablet. Captain, we've secured all Grim vessels. Minimal casualties on both sides, as ordered. Good, War Leader Vorthok. You and your people will be released unharmed. Your ships will be repaired and resupplied, but you will leave this system and never return. Vorthok stared at the human in confusion. You ... you're letting us go. We're not conquerors, War Leader. We're defenders. You're no longer a threat, so you're no longer our enemy. Marcus turned toward the door, then paused. But understand this. Word of what happened here will spread throughout the galaxy. Every species will know that the humans of New Horizon defeated a Grim consortium fleet without killing a single warrior. They will also know, Sarah added, that we could have killed every one of you, but chose not to. That should give them something to think about. As the humans prepared to leave, Elder Zephyr's voice came over the communication again. War Leader, you asked me once how humans could be both peaceful and terrifying. Now you know how. Vorthok whispered. Because they choose to be peaceful, War Leader. And anything that can choose peace can also choose war. The most dangerous predator is one that hunts only when necessary. Hours later, the Grim consortium fleet limped away from New Horizon, their hulls scarred but their crews alive. Aboard the mining station, humans and aliens worked together to repair the damage from the brief conflict. Captain Marcus Chen stood, once again on the observation deck, watching the stars. Dr. Mitchell joined him, her gentle demeanor restored now that the crisis had passed. Think they'll be back? She asked. No, word will spread about what happened here. The galaxy will remember that humans can be both miners and soldiers, both peaceful and deadly. Marcus smiled. That should buy us some peace for a while. Elder. Zephys approached them, his ancient features thoughtful. Captain Chen, Dr. Mitchell, I must ask you something. During the battle, you showed remarkable restraint. You could have destroyed the Grim fleet, but you chose to disable rather than kill. Why? Sarah answered first. Because we're still human, Elder. The ability to choose violence doesn't mean we have to choose it. Marcus nodded. We became soldiers because we had to, but we remained human throughout. That's what makes us dangerous, but it's also what makes us worth defending. The old Astari smiled. then the galaxy is fortunate that humans chose to be miners rather than conquerors. As New Horizon returned to its peaceful routine, a message began spreading through the galactic communication networks. It was simple, just a few words, but it carried a weight that made every species pause and consider. Even the aliens pray when humanity's wrath is stirred. But what the galaxy truly learned was not to fear human anger, but to respect human choice. For the most dangerous beings in the universe were not those who were born to fight, but those who chose when to fight, and when to show mercy. And in the deep reaches of space, New Horizon continued its work. A testament to the truth that the greatest strength was not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when destruction was necessary and when mercy was possible. The humans had reminded the galaxy of an ancient truth. Those who are capable of great violence but choose great peace are the most dangerous allies and the most formidable enemies.